Hello. How are you? Good. Good. I'm glad. Welcome to my home. I'm very appreciative that you were able to come here so that we can kind of discuss what you're looking for. It's kind of difficult to trust a collector as opposed to going to a big box store because number one, you get the instant gratification at a big box store, but you're really not going to find what you're actually looking for unless you contact an actual collector or buyer and seller of rare plants. But I think you already knew that. Anyways, so before I even show you a few plants, I know you told me a little bit about what you're looking for. However, I still want to talk to you about the space that you're wanting to fill. Did you bring a picture like I asked you to? Okay, let me see it. Okay, so how many plants are you actually wanting to fill in that space? Okay, so just one? Okay, so for that space, I would say you could do one of two things. Because if that gets as much light throughout the day as it's in that picture, then I would say you could either get a larger plant, maybe medium to medium small, to fill that space, or you could get a small rarer plant and then decorate around it, or you can buy some of the things that I'm going to show you after I show you the plants that you're going to need to upkeep these rare plants anyway, because these rare plants, they're a little bit feisty. They have some demands that need to be met, which I'll talk about after you pick your plant. That way I can get a little bit more specific about what the needs of that plant are. Okay? All right. So let's get started. I have a couple of options. I have shelves and shelves full of plants, but I have some that are a little bit more on the rarer side that I'm willing to let go of, that we can talk about, okay? Okay, let me grab those. The first plant that I'm talking about for this, this is a little bit more on the basic side, but it's large enough to fill your space. So this is a Monstera Borza, and I'm going to back up a little bit here so that you can see this. As you can see, this has light splits in the leaves, and this is very, very aesthetically pleasing when it is filling a space. So it actually came to me in this cutting right here that had a little bit of crispy end, and this was the only thing that was on it. And then it popped out this leaf right here that had a couple of splits. Then it popped out this leaf. Then it popped out this beautiful leaf, and now it is actually in the process of unfurling this beautiful leaf. But I've noticed that Monstera Borza tend to get splits on half of the leaf when they're in a juvenile to medium form. And the growth pattern pretty much does grow just like a large vine. So probably 1 to 2 more leaves. You might have to, buy a little cute pole to sit down in here for this thing to wind around. But that's also the beauty of it. This thing is amazing, and I actually really like this plant, and I'm slightly sentimentally attached to it because I was able to bring it back to life from this one leaf cutting, and now I've got this large plant here. It is growing an aerial root out. So if you ever wanted to propagate it, I wouldn't recommend it, but you could always snip here. So that way you can just have this straight line vine. But if you're looking to fill your space, then this will do the job with what you're trying to get. And this is the cheapest plant out of all of the ones that I'm going to show you, actually. Yes. All right, so let me go ahead and show you the other plants. Okay. Another basic plant that I'm going to show you, but I'm showing it to you just because I've grown it out a little bit and I'm selling it with the pot. This is a Peperomia obtusifolia variegata. I put this thing in pure orchid bark and it loves it. I also only water this thing once every 3.5 weeks. And I think it's because I've trained it to the point where, since it's grown in pure orchid bark, it doesn't need that much watering or maintenance anyway. So if you get up in here, you can see the beautiful leaves that it has. And you can see the fact that once it pops out, the leaves are slightly green and they fade to a white. So you can see the lovely, beautiful green and white variegation in this plant. This, combined with the pot, combined with the actual low maintenance cost on this, it's quite beautiful, to be honest with you. So I'm just throwing this out there as an option for decor reasons. Now, the next couple of plants that I'm going to show you, they're a lot more rare and they're going to have a lot more requirements. So let me go ahead and get that for you. The plant that I'm about to show you and the couple of plants after that is where we're really getting into the collector's portion of it, I guess you could say, where the plants are a little bit more rare. You're not going to find these unless you find a wholesaler overseas, because I actually had to have these imported from my wholesaler overseas. Okay, so this plant is called a Philodendron bilite dark form. Now, I am in love with this plant. I actually have a couple of these, and I love the fact that the regular forms they're a lot brighter of a green, but I love how the dark forms have a dark purple underbacking to it. Now, the fact when these plants have a dark purple underbacking to them, it's because they like a lot of indirect sunlight, and the purple is actually supposed to go through the leaf. The light goes through the leaf. The purple reflects the light rays back up, so that way this leaf, all of these leaves get a double dosage of light, which means they can make faster food. Now, I will show you this leaf right here, or this plant in particular has a new growth point, so it's about to start putting out leaves, which means that I've had this for a few months, but it's actually acclimated enough to the point where it is able to start growing again. So just to give you guys a heads up on that, this is where we're at. This is the bilite dark form. Are you interested in this one? Okay, good. I'm glad. So I will set this to the side here, so that way we can kind of keep this in the running. This is an excellent choice. But I'll move on to the next one. This is also a collector's plant, but it's probably one of the harder ones to take care of, because this is known as an Anthurium crystallinum. These plants really do not like to be dried out. So, and they pretty much require high humidity if you don't want them to get crispy. And by that, I mean, if you take a look at this specific leaf, I'll get close enough to show you. My humidifier that I have on this plant, it ran out in the middle of the night and the humidity dropped by about 6 or 7%. And by the time I woke up and realized it midday, this plant has already gotten a little bit of a crisp on the leaf in the end. So, although this plant is absolutely beautiful, and I am completely obsessed with this plant, I am just, it's a lot of care, it's a lot of maintenance, and they are absolutely beautiful when they grow up, but if you're willing to do the undertaking and take care of this plant, it would be an amazing addition to your collection. So, what do you think about this guy? What do you think about this one? Yes? So it's also in the running? Okay. I'll set this one beside the bilite, and I'll show you the last one that I have available. This last one I am very emotionally attached to, and I'm obsessed with this one. I've got 2 of these, which is the only reason why I'm letting this potentially go. If you pick this, I will sell it to you, but if you don't pick it, I'm going to be happy about that. So, this is a Philodendron splendid, which is a hybrid between a Philodendron gloriosum and a Philodendron Melanochrysum. I think. I have a lot of hybrids in my collection, so I keep getting them crisscrossed and mixed because I've got one that's a hybrid between a Philodendron gloriosum and Melanochrysum, and then I've got one that is between a Philodendron verrucosum Melanochrysum, and I keep getting those 2 mixed up. But the term for this is a Philodendron splendid, and I am obsessed with this plant just specifically because of the leaves. The leaves actually do get a little bit bigger than this, and they have an absolute beautiful, and I mean beautiful, velvet sheen to them. Just the rubbing of this, it feels like satin velvet sheets. And if you do pick this one, it has been acclimating under my care for a few months. I think I'm gonna have to move it to a larger pot soon, unless you purchase it, and then you would be responsible for repotting it, obviously, because it is growing roots out of the pot already, and it's also got a new sprout coming up. The back of these leaves are red tinted, which I am absolutely obsessed with. But overall, this is an amazing addition to anyone's collection. And if you purchase this, not only will it grow to fit the space that you showed me, but it is just gonna keep getting more beautiful from there. And this is why I'm a collector, because these things genuinely bring me joy to have something like this, and I am just 100% obsessed. So, what do you think? Oh, so you're gonna go with this one, huh? Excellent choice. I'm really sad to see this go, but I think it's amazing. So let's talk about care instructions, and we can go over the price later. Yeah. So let me get this guy over there. Let me put the rest of these plants back up. I'll be right back. So congratulations on picking your plant. I'm ecstatic for you. Again, I'm really sad to see that plant go, but I've got another one, so it's okay. So let's talk about care tips, because if you're, as we all know, and you probably already do all of these things, if you've contacted me and have shown up at my place to buy a plant, but I'm going to go over them anyway. So, rule number 1, use filtered water. Reason being, it's very important that you don't give this plant any unnecessary salts or contaminants that are going to damage the roots. That'll slow down the process of growth and or kill the plant all entirely, and you don't want to do that. These plants, even though they're growing here, they originated from overseas. So there's still a level of temperament that you're going to have to uphold. So no tap water, filtered water, and or distilled water is actually good as well. So rule number 2, humidity. I will hook you up with a link where you can buy this, because I ordered this online. This right here is what's called a small, quote-unquote, personal humidifier. People buy these all the time to put in their car. They put them beside their bed at night. If you're just feeling sick, it's good to just turn it on and keep it with you and beside you, because it helps keep your sinuses hydrated. And just as it's healthy for you, these plants need it all the time. So this one specifically right here is rechargeable through a USB-C port. So you can charge this up. You can leave this plugged in if you want to. However, I just think it was a good smaller alternative to keep beside the plants that need a little extra care. So I highly recommend that you get one of these. Link in the bio, obviously. And I'll make sure that link is provided to you. Okay. So, definitely a must. This twists and lifts up. There's filters in the bottom. You fill this up and then you put it back in. Okay, so let's move on. I would also invest in one of these. To be honest with you, I got this from a beauty supply store. And I'm sure you probably could, but I will also provide you a link if you would like to purchase one of these online as well. The reason that I like this as opposed to a regular spray bottle is because I like to spray this. You see that fine mist? You see how fine that is? I take this and I spray this above my plant so that that mist can fall down over top of it. You're not overly drenching your plant, and it provides extra humidity. And it basically simulates if it rains in the tropics. All of the plants that are above them that need direct sunlight are going to get hit with heavy water. That heavy water is going to provide mist and a little bit of drippage to the understory plants, which is what these rare tropical plants are. So, just to give you guys a heads up, no, So just to give you a heads up, I would get this over any other spray bottle. And you don't have to spray them necessarily once a day. Sometimes when I feel like my plants need a little extra oomph, I will spray these for a couple of days. And that's it for the humidity portion of it. Now, let's move on to when to repot this, because I did tell you that needs to be repotted. However, you have a new space, and as similar as you want to get it to the climate that it's grown in, it's going to be different from the climate I've grown in to whatever environment you have that you want to place it in. So, don't repot this as soon as you move it into your house, because it will probably take a dive. I would just take it into your space, leave it in that space for about a week. Once it has been sitting there for about a week and it's acclimated a little bit, then I would go ahead and I would repot it. Do not heavily rewater this. That would be bad. I would make sure it's a little moist when you bring it into your home, and then let it set throughout that week period. Keep it moist. Make sure it doesn't dry out, but please, for the love of God, do not water the crap out of this thing as soon as you get it home and then let it dry out throughout the week. That's awful for it. It needs consistency. Thank you for coming into my home and purchasing this plant. If you want any other consultations regarding larger plants, or if you want to bring in more common plants into your house to decorate with, please contact me. We can go through this process again. So definitely give me some feedback and let me know. I appreciate your time. I appreciate your business. And I'll see you later. And let me know how your plant does. Okay.